What if the way someone starts their day isn't just preference, but actual psychological necessity? That first hour of silence, the specific playlist, the untouchable coffee ritual, these aren't quirks. They're survival tools. And when you interrupt them, you're not being friendly. You're dismantling someone's defense system. How interrupting someone's morning could be sabotaging their entire day. Here's something most people don't realize. Your brain doesn't boot up like everyone else's. Some people wake up ready to conquer the world. Others need a solid 90 minutes before they can even form coherent thoughts. And neither approach is wrong, they're just fundamentally different operating systems. Research from the Sleep Research Society found that chronotype variations affect not just when people sleep, but how their cognitive functions activate throughout the day. Morning, people hit peak performance early. Night owls need extended warm-up time. When you force interaction on someone whose system hasn't fully loaded yet, you're essentially asking them to run complex software on a computer that's still installing updates. Think about your own wake-up sequence. Maybe you need that specific morning show playing in the background. Maybe it's scrolling through your phone for exactly 10 minutes. Maybe it's that walk around the block before anyone speaks to you. These aren't luxuries or bad habits. They're calibration protocols. You're tuning your internal frequency to match the external world's demands. Now, imagine someone barging into that process, asking questions, making requests, expecting emotional availability. It doesn't matter how well-intentioned they are. What matters is they're disrupting a critical transition phase. They're pulling you into performance mode before you've had time to prepare. Our culture glorifies the rise and grind mentality. Everyone's supposed to jump out of bed ready to produce. But that's not how human biology works for a massive portion of the population. Some brains need gradual activation. They need to ease into alertness rather than being shocked into it. When someone seems irritable first thing in the morning, it's rarely personal. Their prefrontal cortex is still coming online. Executive functions are loading. Emotional regulation is buffering. You're not talking to the full person, yet you're talking to a partial system trying to organize itself. The morning ritual creates a buffer zone between sleep and the world's chaos. It's where people decide how they'll show up that day. Without it, they're just reacting to whatever gets thrown at them. They lose agency over their own mental state. So before you approach someone in the morning, ask yourself, have they completed their startup sequence? Or am I interrupting their loading screen? What's the one morning habit you absolutely cannot skip without your whole day falling apart? What your coffee ritual reveals about your need for control. Let's talk about why some people treat their morning coffee like a religious ceremony. It's not about the caffeine, it's about autonomy. In a world that constantly demands your attention, that 5-minute coffee ritual is the last bastion of self-determination. And when someone invades that space, they're not just being annoying. They're stripping away the one moment where you still have complete control. Every single day, forces outside your control dictate your schedule. Your boss sets deadlines. Traffic determines when you arrive. Other people's emergencies become your problems. The coffee isn't solving any of that, but it creates a pocket of time where nothing can touch you. While you're making it exactly how you like it, you haven't surrendered to the chaos yet. You're still sovereign. This is why interruptions during these moments trigger such disproportionate frustration. It's not really about the interruption itself. It's about the violation of boundaries. Someone is saying, without words, that their needs supersede your attempt at maintaining equilibrium. That your one moment of self-directed activity can be hijacked for their convenience. According to research from the Journal of Environmental Psychology, personal rituals significantly reduce anxiety and increase perceived control. When these rituals are disrupted, stress hormones spike immediately. Your body registers it as a threat to psychological safety. It's not an overreaction, it's a legitimate stress response. Here's what most people miss. These rituals are declarations. They say, exist as an individual with specific needs. I deserve this time. When you disrespect that, you're disrespecting the entire person. It doesn't matter if it's coffee, meditation, exercise, or just staring at the wall. The content isn't the point. The autonomy is. There's a massive difference between availability and intrusion. Available means the person has completed their ritual and is ready to engage. Intrusion means you're forcing interaction before they've given any signal of readiness, and most people can't tell the difference. They assume physical presence equals emotional availability. It doesn't. Every ritual is a boundary. It's someone saying, "This time is mine." When you honor that, you're showing respect for their entire operating system. When you violate it, you're creating friction before the day even starts. Your emotional fuel is finite. Burning through it before you've even left the house means you're running on empty for everything that actually matters. What would happen if you protected your personal rituals with the same intensity you protect your work deadlines? Hit that like button and subscribe if you're starting to see patterns in your own life. Why silence is the most underrated form of self-care. Silence isn't empty. It's full of processing, recalibration, and internal organization. When someone chooses silence, they're not being cold or distant. They're doing essential maintenance on their psychological infrastructure. And the fact that our culture treats this as something that needs to be fixed reveals how deeply we misunderstand human energy systems. We live in a noise-saturated world. Constant stimulation, perpetual availability, background music, notification pings, endless chatter. We become so uncomfortable with silence that we fill every gap with sound, even when nobody actually wants it. But for certain people, silence isn't optional. It's where they recharge. It's where they think clearly. It's where they exist without performing. When you interrupt someone's silence because it makes you uncomfortable, you're prioritizing your discomfort over their needs. You're saying, "I can't handle this quiet, so you need to fix it for me." That's not connection. That's using someone else's energy to regulate your own anxiety. Think about your own habits. How many times have you started talking just to avoid awkward silence? How many times have you forced conversation that nobody really wanted? We do this constantly, and in the process, we drain people who need that quiet space to function. Different people recharge differently. Some need social interaction. Others need isolation. Some need physical activity. Others need absolute stillness. None of these approaches are superior. They're just different fuel types. Trying to force someone to recharge your way is like putting diesel in a gasoline engine. It won't work. It'll just damage the system. Silence creates space. Space for genuine thoughts instead of automatic reactions. Space for real feelings instead of performed emotions. Space for intentional choices instead of reflexive responses. Without that space, people become reactive machines. They stop being present and start just surviving. Here's what people forget. Respecting someone's energy system isn't passive. It's strategic. Relationships function better when nobody's operating on fumes. You can't have authentic connection with someone who's depleted. You just get surface-level interaction and mounting resentment. Next time someone chooses silence, don't take it personally. Don't try to fix it. Don't assume they're upset with you. They might just be refueling, and that has nothing to do with you. Can you sit comfortably with someone else's silence, or do you always feel compelled to fill it? If this landed for you, show some love with a like and subscribe for more. How respecting energy boundaries transforms every relationship. At the end of the day, respecting someone's energy system is the most practical form of love. Not the romantic, dramatized version. The real kind. The kind that requires you to stop centering yourself and recognize that other people operate on completely different frequencies. And that takes work. Real work. Every person is an ecosystem with specific requirements. Peak hours and low periods. Necessary solitude and desired connection. Ignoring these patterns is relationship suicide. It's like watering a cactus the same way you water a fern. One of them is going to die. Guaranteed. When you respect someone's rituals, their morning silence, their coffee ceremony, their evening decompression, you're communicating something profound. You're saying, "I see how you're built. I respect that you're different from me, and I'm not going to force you to operate on my terms." That creates safety. It builds trust. It makes space for genuine intimacy because the person doesn't have to constantly defend their boundaries. Consider how many conflicts stem from mismatched energy systems. Partners fighting because one wants morning conversation and the other needs silence. Workplace tension because someone interrupts another person's focused work time. Family drama because nobody understands that alone time isn't rejection, it's maintenance. Emotional fuel isn't unlimited. Every interruption, every boundary violation, every disregard for someone's ritual extracts a cost. It might seem minor, it was just one question, it was just a minute, but for someone trying to maintain equilibrium, each invasion is a leak. Eventually, the tank runs dry. Here's the real challenge. Can you decenter yourself? Can you accept that the world doesn't revolve around your need for immediate interaction, your schedule, your urgency? Because respecting others means accepting that they don't exist to accommodate you. They exist on their own terms. When you grasp this, everything shifts. You stop invading. You start observing. You learn the signals. You recognize when someone's open versus when they're recharging. And that's when you build connections that energize rather than drain, that sustain rather than deplete. Respecting someone's energy system isn't complicated. It just requires you to stop assuming everyone should function like you do. It requires you to see people as they actually are, not as you need them to be. Are you willing to change how you interact with people, honoring their energy rhythms? Or will you keep expecting everyone to adapt to yours? What's the biggest realization you're walking away with? If you made it this far, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this with someone who needs to hear it.